Did you ever wonder why the men you're not really interested in seem to like you more for a much longer time than the great men you are really interested in? Perhaps the first group keeps courting you, keeps sharing their feelings with you, a lot of them keeps complimenting you. Some may not easily give up, even if you would really want them to. But the guy you are really interested in? Well, he keeps changing his mind. He doesn't seem to have a reply button on his phone and he loses interest pretty fast. Have you ever met a great guy? Finally a prince amongst the frogs, but then instead of enjoying his presence, your mind starts to strategize. All right, I really want a relationship with this guy, so I must make sure that I don't lose this guy. Well, what if I'm not good enough for him? Yeah, I need to go out on a date soon, preferably with a not awkward kiss at the end, or in the very beginning, whatever, the sooner the better. Must also stay away from the friend zone. That's a bad zone to be in if you want a relationship. Must make him miss me when I'm not with him, and also make sure that he replies, well, immediately, if I text him something. See, there's a big difference between just meeting someone and meeting a potential match, because if it's just someone, we can be a bit more aloof. We don't really care about the outcome. We're just our relaxed selves. It may even be easy to flirt a bit, to show them everything we are about. Finding words to say will be easy. If it's a potential match, well, that's sometimes a totally different story, isn't it? It's serious then. Of course it is. We finally met the person that will fill the void even Netflix and 2,000 Facebook friends couldn't fill. The person that will make us feel like we matter. The person that will fix everything. The person with the key to the happily ever after gate. Yeah. It's obviously very wrong to think that way, but let's say you've met a great guy. Now what? How do you not mess it up then, especially given the huge difference between having a future with him, a perfect relationship or a marriage filled with unicorns and rainbows, and one without him, cold, dark, just icky. So let's talk about it. I'm an author. I write very serious relationship and dating books for women. I also write about emotional intelligence and handling our more difficult emotions. My real name is Geert. That's why my easier to remember pen name is Brian Knox. And the first thing to know is that if you think you've met a great guy, in reality, you still have no idea. Really, for many reasons like pheromones, the way he looks, talks, who he reminds you of, plus an entire list of things we will never fully understand, your body and mind will think, yep, that's the one. That's the one I'm supposed to be with. That's the guy that will grant me my wishes. And if that happens, some call it love at first sight, is because that guy just fits the mold that your mind has created over time. But it's all based on things that you can see or smell, like pheromones, and assumptions. Yes, assumptions. Your mind makes an entire picture out of that little bit of information you got. Just like in some movies where you can just tell, yeah, that's the bad guy. That's the one that did it. Why? Well, because of what he looks like, duh. But at that point, you don't know if you're compatible with him. If you're someone who feels very insecure in the early stages of a relationship, and that's your attachment style, will that make him run or soothe you? If you're very strong and secure with, for example, a great career, will he be able to deal with that? Or will that make him run, or worse, compete instead of being supportive? You have no idea. Will he still know your first name tomorrow? Does he keep his promises? Will he start flirting with your best friend during that barbecue where he had a little bit too much to drink? You have absolutely no idea yet, but your mind may think it does. Well, of course I know. It feels like I've known him for years. I know who this person is. I sense these things. When you know, you know. Well, maybe your mind should then go work for the CIA as a human lie detector, because we obviously don't know these things, and that is step number one when you meet a great guy. Realizing that you don't know anything about him. He's not great yet. It will take time. This is just phase one of the long interview process for the most important position you have in your life, the one of your romantic partner. It's a vetting process. So the goal is to find out what he's all about, and that is done by seeing him in different situations and by paying attention. So don't sweep any big red flags under the rug, seriously, because many relationships eventually fail for things that were known as a huge red flag in the first couple of weeks, but we decided to dismiss them. Been there, done that. Step two, this also works the other way around. He's supposed to find out who you really are so he can choose to hold you tight forever or run. And scaring away the wrong people is always a good thing. If it's easy to scare someone we are dating away, it's by definition not the right person for us. Because life will get tough. This relationship will get tough. So we don't want to be with someone who runs at the first sign of trouble. Show him you and don't hold back. the sooner he knows what you are all about, the sooner he can make up his mind. Now, there's a theory that says, well, I actually have to wait with certain things until he has fallen in love with me. Then he can handle those things that I prefer to hide at first. And yes, that is technically correct. The hormones of love will blind him. He may not mind and may not even see those things then, but that fog eventually lifts, and then he returns to being his normal self and liking and disliking whatever he liked and disliked before. It's easy to know when the fog has lifted, by the way. Let's say Formula 1 is his favorite sport. As long as he's saying, I know it's race day today, but I would rather help you clean your cat's litter box because I love being around you. Yeah, the fog hasn't lifted yet. It has when you hear, whoa, no, wait, you're standing in front of the TV, even though you're looking at him with those sexy eyes of yours, then the fog has officially lifted. In all seriousness, the reason why you may already have felt that the men you weren't interested in were way more attracted to you than those you fancied a lot is because the first group probably got to meet a real, cool, calm, and collected you, whereas the men you had a super high interest level in probably got to meet the way too excited version of you that may have forgotten to show her true self for all the reasons we don't show ourselves when we fall hard for someone. Third, if you've met a great guy, your mind will use a scarcity mindset. He's not only a great guy then, he's the only great guy. And you know what? Sometimes the facts will seem to prove this. You have perhaps already had a couple of difficult breakups and failed relationships and maybe a ton of bad dates, proving he must be the only great guy out there, but that scarcity mindset is definitely not helping. It's going to make you stressed, uptight, and, well, not yourself. So dating him will not be fun then. Having a relationship with him may not even be possible, but will definitely not be fun. The solution is pretty simple. We just have to become aware of all of this and try to be as emotionally intelligent as we can be. And sure, you may feel all of these strong emotions and feelings, and if they feel good, then that's awesome. But either way, this is not a big deal yet. He's not a big deal yet. He will have to prove that first, and that takes time, sometimes years. If he has been treating you well for years, if you feel awesome most of the time in the relationship you have with him for years, then he becomes a big deal. But for now, try to decide to just enjoy all of this, to discover him and what may or may not happen relationship-wise without trying to control it. Go with the flow. That, if you ask me, is the best mindset for whenever you've met someone great. And it's of course never easy because falling hard for someone we would love to have a relationship with destabilizes us, no matter who you are. But if that happens, I hope you will remember this video. And if you want the deeper stuff, as always, you can find it on brianknox.com or in my books. They are on Amazon. You can just type my pen name, Brian Knox, in the search box. I will also put links in the description underneath this video as well. And I want to thank you very much for sticking around until the very end. I love it when you do that and hope to see you in another video.